So this is a oral presentation that needs to be done concerning the APA assessment. And the person that I'll be interviewing is Darci Carnevale, who I will let her explain what she actually does.
I work with multiply disabled population. We administer the APA as an alternate proficiency assessment for math, language arts, and at grade 8 science as well. This year, APA is a little different, and now we're moving to dynamic learning maps.
Cool. So I'm just going to keep this real simple. These are some of the questions that we really want to go over. I will list them. How long have you participated in the APA? In your opinion, is it beneficial? What are the pros and cons? And what suggestions can you make to improve its effectiveness? So we can look at number one. How long have you participated in the APA?
This is my 7th year participating in the APA. I don't find it's beneficial to the children. They are given 2 assessments. One, they need to fail, and the second, they need to pass. And the role is for the teacher to be able to teach that material and the student to be able to obtain it through the months. Say November is after the first assessment and before February is the second assessment. It doesn't allow enough time for the teacher to teach everything on grade level because, especially with multiply disabled population, there is nothing that is consistent among student to student. So really it's testing the teachers and how well they could put together the assessment rather than testing the kids' knowledge. Also working with the population, you have to realize their retention is different.
Okay.
So for them to be able to retain it for months or go back to a previous concept learned there's an issue with the process.
So how can you look at with your population where I've seen you have kids with autism?
Yeah.
How does that play into trying to really formulate an assessment?
Well, some students have the capacity to answer some of the questions. Not totally. It's definitely some of it's guided, and we're teaching to the assessment as every other teacher's doing for the regular standardized testing. However, I think something that would be beneficial is that if the state provided the assessments to make it more uniform, because we as teachers are required to create the assessments, which leads me into the pros and cons. When they're scored, it's definitely subjective because I may think it's a great assessment and the next person scoring it doesn't feel it, that it's good. So that's why I think that it should be uniform so that we're using assessments that are provided as opposed to us creating them and then people placing their own opinions.
Okay. So with the new assessment, and I'm trying to understand it now, how familiar are you with this new assessment that they're trying to bring into play?
At the beginning stages, but so far, yesterday my training it's generated through the computer more, so that based on their performance is what comes next.
Could you explain
So
that?
the computer will generate the next test based on the kids' performance as opposed to the teacher creating the assessment. So, I mean,
So are you the one actually, do they start you with a number of generic questions that need to be answered and then you fill in that information?
yeah, you come up with like profile and personal needs of each student, and then depending upon their performance and what they answer is what the computer is going to give you. Of course, there's guidelines like you have to complete a certain amount in specific. It's essential elements, what they're calling it. So you need to do a certain amount of tests under the nodes they're called. But it's not based on teachers, so you and I would be given the same assessment, whether if I fail or pass.
So is this,
Whereas this is more gauged to the student.
so what about, two things. What about a student that's nonverbal, and yet, does this answer your question with it now being a universal idea, where the questions are, everybody in the state of New Jersey will have the same type of questions?
It's
This-
not so standardized, however, it's based on their capability.
Okay.
So instead of, the children being exposed to concepts that they can't understand or reason, it's geared more toward them.
Okay.
So I think I think this is definitely more beneficial than the APA format that they're using. However, I just want to make a point that APA is still for science. The dynamic learning maps is for
Okay.
language arts and math.
Okay, okay.
So the science assessments are still created by the teacher,
Okay, and so
which
like,
are grade level.
all right, okay, so we know it's in its early stages. Do you?
And also the accommodations
Okay.
reflect what's in the IEP. So you said a nonverbal student, they would be provided with the materials necessary to
Really?
perform, yes.
And then you just take that information and then plug it into the DLM.
Yeah, there's two different types of tests, and really I'm at the beginning
Okay,
stages of learning
okay,
this, but
okay.
there's teacher administrative testlets or student, like a student's on the computer and you're just sitting in a room proctoring it.
All right. Okay. And do you know when you actually have to do your first assessment?
Our first assessment has to be, I think, by like November 10th. So
November
we
10th.
have another training October 17th.
Okay. All right. And I just want to make sure that we've answered everything. Is there anything else that you would like to add, or?
No, but if you want to ask after October 17th when I know more.
That'll be even
about-
better,
yeah.
because it's not due until the 30th, so that'll be
Okay.
even better. So
Yeah.
we can have a part one and a part two. But thank you so much for
Sure.
for sharing, and like you said, we look forward to
Part two.
part two. Let's do this.